Too often in society, we take the easy road. We don't want to do what's right. What we end up doing is we don't get ahead. If you're not willing to put the hard work in, you will simply be the exact same place you are a few years down the road, and you'll never get better. My name's Nick Tabor. I'm a personal trainer, and I talk about this stuff because I've lived through it. Okay. All right, so we talk about things like work hard. Be proficient. Make sure you do the hard things. Make sure you do what is right. You work hard every day and it will pay off. I'm not talking about any of that right now. Alright, let's get absolutely real, and I'm going to get really super close to the camera for a moment. You're going to do the hard work anyway. This video is about how to be able to enjoy it. How to be able to do the good things in life. Okay. If you have anxiety, you have depression, you have a disability, what happens is there are things that are super hard and you're going to wish things were easy. You're going to want to do things that people usually do that you're not going to be able to do, or maybe you're not going to understand it. I was born 9 weeks premature. I was born extremely early in my lifetime, and usually as a preemie, what happens is there's eventually preemies catch up, but there's some things that you just don't get. You're like, I had absolutely horrid hand-eye coordination. So what does every kid play? Baseball. or in my case, when I was in the 90s, it was basketball. So what you have to do is you have to be able to practice. Now, I had this awesome hoop in my yard that, was just great. It was just an awesome thing. A lot of kids wanted to play, and, I became kind of a popular kid. But, that simple jump shot, that two-pointer, that three-pointer, can you tell I've had practice over the past 20 years? It had to be able to take time and had to be able to be built up. And what we had to do is we had to practice. Now, we've talked about multiple times, I've had cerebral palsy in the right arm. So my jump shots were the way I had the ball straight up and I would just shoot it. But then I would constantly practice from a free throw line that I had imaginary in my head. And I would just say, okay, let's just do this. I would do the same when we play baseball. Okay, I would do the swing, and I'd swing at the ball as my dad would throw it at me. Okay, get that swing in there and be able to get that. Just learn how to do it and do it again and again and again. Even when, the thing that I actually did excel at was when I got into karate. And how to be able to do those punches one by one by one, and especially when this arm was really back there, to be able to push it, I would go, okay, I had to work on extending that arm all the way out and doing it one by one by one. But it took the hard practice, and there are times you definitely want to give up, but my grandfather told me something when I was really, really young. And, he was this chicken farmer in New Hampshire, and he tells me, and he's holding these 2 pair of eggs, and he says, Nick, gotta tell you, one thing that's really, you gotta know this is super important. I said, okay. He says, well, hard work. Hard work never kills anybody. It just makes people more interesting. Remember that. And it's stuck in my brain. So here's what I think he meant by that, honestly. Have you ever had somebody who, you're working on something, you're doing things, and, they take the easy road out, right? They slack through work, they coast through the day. You ask them, what's going on? How are you doing? Same old, nothing much. Nothing's really going on. Really? Nothing's going on? But the ones who work hard always have a story. Always have something, even if it's good or if it's bad, they always have a story to tell. And they're a lot more interesting to be able to talk about. And things where people just painted, I'm sure there were a lot of painters like here, right behind me here. There's the famous self-portrait of Leonardo da Vinci that I have in this office. And I like seeing Leonardo da Vinci because he, while I'm sure there were a lot of painters in that era, he actually practiced and draw and doodled and did a whole bunch of things in order to get better and better and better at his craft. I believe that's why he's remembered as well. Also over here, I have pictures. You could probably see it. I have pictures of my family. Over here is myself when I was a teenager, my dad, and my grandfather. Also a picture of my maternal grandfather, Jesse, who graduated the 6th grade and quit school in order to stay on the farm and help the family out. So there are interesting things that happen in my life, where what we do is we can't be afraid of the hard work. I actually had a conversation with my boss recently, and she said something as my day job. And she says to me, she's like, look, if I was getting really frustrated, sometimes you're like, what the heck is the point of doing all this hard stuff? Maybe this is just what's meant to be. And she tells me, she says, you know what? Go out there and go be a slacker. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and slack off for 5 minutes. I bet you can't do it. Your character says that you're going to do hard work all the time anyway. You got to go ahead and do that. And you know what? She's right. Deep down, we always work hard on things. And if you have anxiety, depression, or a disability, you've got to do harder work than most. So how do you embrace the hard work? How do you give it a big old hug and let it go through the day and live with it? Well, I got a 3-step process I want to go ahead and give to you in order to embrace it, right? You want to be able to take your phone, number 1, list everything that you have to do through the day. And don't worry about if you need help with it, but it's just stuff that you've got to do. Maybe it's 3 major things, but set a goal for yourself. Like you're going to go ahead, mow the lawn, do the laundry, do the dishes. Something like that, real easy. Check those off and then realize you're like, okay, that's pretty good. That's good. And then maybe you're going to sit and you're going to watch Netflix later. But imagine that in reverse. You're like, okay, you watch a whole bunch of shows and you do all this other stuff. And you're like, okay, blah, blah, blah. But then you do when you do the chores first and you do the hard things, you get that list done, then go ahead and treat yourself to some leisure as a reward. It's a lot easier. Even if you're banging your head against the wall with something you want to do, like you have a particular project that needs to happen. Like, I've got the hard work stuff. Like, this is the actual notebook of ideas I put down and things that I do in order to write these particular videos. And I'm bashing my head in, what do I do? What do I do? But I know at the end, I'm going to have an amazing, amazing couple of videos because I've put all that work into it. Step 2, when we talked about that list, we talked about it. You got to tie yourself to the journey, not the destination. That's your self-worth is not really in the fact that the things have been complete. But you want to have a very nice house. You want to make sure that things are good. You want to make sure that you do something with your life. You want to make sure that, you're trying to do your best every day in order to do great things, in order to be, you want to work at that because 10 years down the road, you want to picture this right now. 10 years down the road, can you constantly can you do that same thing you're doing right now? Can you? Can you sit and play that video game all the time and then you're going to say, I did that video game. Great, you got a list of things you got to do all the time and you're not working hard, you're taking that leisure route. What are you going to do? If you're like this, like I was when you had a disability, and you don't want to be like this forever, but you're going to work at it. A month down the road, you're working on extending your hand and you're down a little bit. Eventually what happens is you're opening that hand. Are you going to go back? No, you're going to want to move. You're going to want to do different things. You're going to want to work at it. Because then eventually it becomes that that may not have happened. Right? How do you do it? You turn it around. 3. Help others and no excuses. You've got stuff you've got to do. You've got a mission. You've got that big why. You've got that thing you want to do in your life. What you need to do is focus on that. Like, I had this thing. I did not want to be the disabled kid who got pitied on all the time. Oh, he has an arm problem, so he can't do what he had to see, what we usually do. He can't play sports because that's what we usually do. He can't do this, he can't do that. There was a point in time when I was 7 or 8 years old, I had those little curly tie shoes. So I could just, for gym or something, or for when I was playing, I'd pull them and that would hold it shut. So I'd go out, run around, play, have no problem. And I didn't have to tie any, tie shoes because I had this, this hand problem. I didn't have finger dexterity yet. So they're like, okay, boom, done. And that was a big excuse. No excuses anymore. You're going to have that thing. People are putting that excuse on you back that way. They're going to have that excuse saying, you got to do what you've got to do. You got to put yourself in that law. You're going to work at it every single day. And what I did was I don't have my shoes on me right now, but I picked up a shoe and I just played with it every single day for 2 years until I actually got to tie my shoes, either with one hand or with both hands. And then I did what I did. When I had struggles trying to be able to speak because I had a little bit of a speech impediment, and I didn't talk very clearly, and I had muscular issues in my mouth. I talked as often as I could at a slow and steady pace until I got it right. But I didn't want to make that excuse anymore because I'm in that certain situation. I've got to keep doing it this way, and that has to be the status quo. Society put that on you, not you. If you accept it and you put it in your society, then no. You're not going to get any further than you actually are. But you don't want to be that. You don't want to be where you are anymore. You want to work at it and you want to do more. And those are the 3 steps. Again, no more excuses to be able to just keep the hard work. The hard work never kills anybody. It's hard to be able to get through it, but it's just going to make you more interesting. So we got a lot of videos on this channel. I want you to check out one on my shoulder right here. Go ahead and look at that, and I'll see you there. And as always, we climb.